So they'll be calling you a radical. This is a big deal. We got a couple things to talk about. Giving the HIV injection to, now this is real historic important stuff, to the coronavirus 19 in Japan. Now think about this, Japan, and I'll talk about my experience with the HIV, with leukemia. And let's first get to this. This is important. I'll list his phone number and everything. So this is historical stuff. This is released today because the big fight's been on the gill netting scumbags in Oregon, Washington want to extinct. And they fought, and that piece of shit governor in Washington upped the ante because he was going to run for president, keep the money, dirtbag. Stay with me. This is important historical stuff. So, this is just out. Under the 2020 plan, 75% of spring Chinook would be allocated to recreational anglers, a 5% increase from the allocation outlined in Washington's Columbia River policy, with the other 25% allocated to the commercial fishery. Only tangle nets would be allowed in the mainstream during the commercial spring fishing after the run size update in mid to late May. Now, this is important. You know, the gill nets have been, he wanted gill nets back. No gill nets. Now this is a big fight that Kevin Blanch has won. This is a big deal with me. So I'm like, fuck you, you're going to extinct them. I deal with them daily, you know, I'm free. The grassroots or Doc Ricketts Blanch. I do all your dirty work. So this is real historic and important. Only tangle nets will be allowed. That's right, flying in the face of this piece of shit governor. In the mainstream during the commercial spring fishing. Next line's really important. After the run size update, after the fact. They're not going to be able to go in first. So, which he wanted to, because they gave him 30%. They wanted 30% of the projection number. We know the projection numbers are all lies. So you get 30%, you'll kill them all. So this is a big win. You know, thank you. I mean, my fight, Kevin Blanch, I'm the activist that wins, you know. And so let's get back to the Kona 19. Kevin Blanch, commenter number 19. Now, you know I'm an AML leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma survivor. When I first got sick in the fall of 2011, I mean radically, I was the first piece of shit doctor who saw me, who said he read the scan, who the girl just did the scan. The nurse, my neighbor, has just passed away tragically from a heart attack. He never read the scan. I was full of tumors, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, when they finally got to the scan my blood works, I got diagnosed as HIV positive, which that happens to almost all acute leukemia patients. They mirror each other. Now stay with me, this is important, because we know that contagious leukemia, oh yeah, it's a very real thing, in seafood. In seafood. It likes to show up in oysters. It likes to in shellfish. This is important. Now stay with me. Japan. Let's experiment with this on the Corona 19. Now we know that Charles Lieber was arrested. Look it up. Charles Lieber has been arrested. Yes, the Harvard lab. He has ties here to Utah. Al Woolley gave a statement at BYU protecting him. Why are they involved? I don't know. You think it's just all coincidence? I don't know. So, you can look it up. He's in the room next to me. We went into the hospital at the exact identical time. His name's Marshall Jensen, my very beautiful close friend. Little boy at the time. He and I both had to make the decision in the acute bone marrow transplant center on our transplant at the exact same time. I was too sick. As you know, on advice from my doctor and myself and praying a lot of meditation, I decided not to have a transplant, which almost always means you're going to die. Walked the coast of California, my intense radical fight, I haven't died. I'm alive without the transplant. So Marshall, the same week, decided to have his transplant. Young, strong, amazing guy. I'll start to cry. He had it. It didn't work. We made the decision together. We both talked a lot in the hospital about it. He had a young wife. He's a little boy. He's an 8-year-old now. So, he qualified for the MD Anderson experiment transplant. 25 in the country. Went down, second transplant. Didn't work. This is a crazy story, but so a doctor at George Washington University in St. Louis had come up, actually injected himself. It's a famous story that when this is all going on. He was working with this HIV, blah, 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 blah. He got leukemia. He injected himself with this. And you talk about Madame Curie and chemo. That's cold, really cold. So Marshall Jensen is the first one on earth that gets the treatment. He's the guy in Philadelphia. Kobe. I'm flying home from New York. I'm real sick. Anyway, I got to go to New York. Aaron Swartz. I went to New York. I was so sick. My doctor let me go. Wanted to go see family members. Wanted to go see Aaron Swartz at the Senate scene. Blah, 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 blah. Fighting San Onofre, Indian Point, blah, blah, blah. I have a connecting flight in Philadelphia. I have a layover in Philadelphia. I'm in the airport and I see this person who had LDS. I'm like, what are you doing here? He says, I'm here with Marshall Jensen. What? In the room, you know, getting it. So KSL, all the media, all over here, do this giant grandstand. Yay. You saw him, it's all over the media. It's Blair, you Google it. It's every media you could possibly ever dream about. In his room, photographing, you know, I'm there the whole time. It's just like, there's a vlog out. This vlogger had hundreds, if not thousands of talking about her cancer. Here's Kevin Blanche, who has, and she's passed away, unfortunately, sadly. You know, I'm glad KSL did that piece, but let's get real. Here's Kevin Blanche. I have millions of followers I've had. With AML, de novo, OS, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a death sentence. Probably the only person my own doctor says, the only person I know of who survived this without. You think they're doing any story on me? It's like I'm going to go down to the Capitol 2 days, they're having a cancer thing. Do you think they're going to do anything for me? I'm probably one of the most famous cancer survival cases in the history of this country. I mean, think about it. Got to hold the paper crane in my hand. Nobody will touch me. It's fucking unbelievable. So they do this big paradism, partyism for Marshall all over, blah, 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 blah. Got to keep them separated. I'm back in, get my blood checked, whatever. You know, I know all the nurses because I'm in the hospital constantly. How's Marshall? Kevin, you don't know. Same thing was told, huh? Oh, no. He died. It was a mistake, but from what I understand now, it's working. I talked to his wife and his little boy. In fact, that book that I have that his wife made, Marshall, you know, I have one. Talk about a pioneer. Talk about an amazing person. Talk about a mind. I love that guy. I mean, more than any brother. So, why would Japan be experimenting with this? So personally, this is just opinion. Do I think this is a byproduct of maybe Fukushima? Maybe, I don't know. But personally, out of a lab, well, we know it's out of a lab. You know, from a bat or whatever, but is it possible that it's contagious leukemia? Now, you got to realize in the early days of AIDS, when it broke out, many people accused it of being contagious leukemia. And again, the diagnosis with AML leukemia and these hardcore radical cancers are the exact identical diagnosis as AIDS, HIV. I was diagnosed with it. You know, and I'm like, no, that's not what I have, you know, and it wasn't, which happens all the time. So the first 2 cases in Utah are trapped on the boat in Japan, you know. Coincidence? I don't know. This is a big deal in Oregon, so I know they're combined together, these 2 important subject matters, but, you know, connect these fucking dots. Hire PR firms to attack a guy in fucking critical condition, which are felonies and all, but no, my government can do that. And, you know, Kevin Blanche, she had that, and I'm very sad that she passed away. I support all cancer victims, all of them, especially the ones that are passed. I fight for them, because they're dead. You know, KSL, she had thousands of followers on Twitter. I have millions of these. Probably one of the most famous cancer survival cases in human history is my case. Don't believe me? Go talk to my fucking doctors. So, what a story. Thank you up there in Washington. I list his phone number, you know, if the fight goes on. Stay tuned.